T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
That's right, fellas. We're back and better than ever from some spring break accommodations all around the world, maybe, or just locally. I don't know, but it's time to talk again about, let's start with NFL free agency, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Plus, it's NCAA tournament time. The field of 68 is set to go. So, Lugs, good to see you. What's your favorite NFL free agent or trade thus far?
Well, I would have to say that it's between two. It's Ravens move and Steelers move. Derrick Henry to the Ravens, I think that's a good move. And I think the Steelers, even though, you know, we're all poo-pooing on Russell Wilson, I think that's a good move. And it was a good landing place for T-Dog's favorite young quarterback. T-Dog, what do you think?
What, Justin Fields? I'm happy for Justin Fields. I will say I do get annoyed with Steelers fans being like, oh, we got one over on the Bears again. And I will give them credit. The Chase Claypool, which I think we all kind of, without hindsight, knew Chase Claypool wasn't that guy because they were trying to offload him the whole time. And then they got Joey Porter Jr., the corner, who's looked great. I'll just say this about Fields, and look, I hope he works out for him because I'll put up with Justin Fields succeeding over all the Steelers. Number one, I want to hear how great your GM is. This is the same GM who drafted Kenny Pickett. So that he's going bargain dumpster diving over Russell Wilson, and then Justin Fields, where I don't completely understand the feeling on why no other teams are really looking into him,
but
possibly.
Didn't he request the Steelers only? And Chicago honored that?
Yes, and I believe Pace to some extent. I mean, I do think.
You don't mean Pace. That's not Pace.
Or Poles.
Yeah,
sorry,
it's
Ryan
the other
Poles.
Ryan.
Sorry, they're both named Ryan.
Yeah.
They're both Ryan, and also both of them were Matt. There was Matt Nagy with his predecessor is Matt Eberflus. So sorry about
you're right.
that.
No problem. You go. Man.
Anyway, no, I mean, I think he wanted to try to honor that to some extent. I'm not going to completely buy into it because I'm sure there were certain deals maybe earlier on, and he was like, no, we can get better than a third-round pick, like maybe at the combine. And then they held on, and then he got to this point. He's like, well, crap. Like all these quarterbacks, where the Bears got screwed on this trade, if we're going to really just go down this path, is Vikings not offering more guaranteed money to Kirk Cousins and him going to Atlanta. And the hiring of an offensive coordinator in Oakland or in Las Vegas, that Luke Getsy went there, that essentially told you right away Justin Fields was not going there. And then they signed Gardner Minshew as their starting quarterback, who I think we all like Minshew, but if you look at where they're drafting, they're going to have to draft Bo Nix or Penix, who again have the potential to be a good quarterback, but obviously. And, it is a crapshoot. What was I going to say? I was going to say they're not going to work out, but by most people's standards who do this for a living, which is not us, like who evaluate, like as for their job, their livelihood, like those are bigger reaches that they're going to see long term.
Hey, but Michael Penix, he's a southpaw, right? So yeah. We're hearkening back to Kenny Stabler days to go way back in the Wayback Machine.
but I also want to say this, T-Dog, hold on a second. Now, first of all, They got a 6th-round pick for Fields. That's nothing. That's chump. If they would have traded him like after one of his big games in the regular season last year, they would have gotten all kinds of good stuff. That's number one. Number two, they got 2 quarterbacks. I'm going to say Both are Hall of Famers. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Just throwing that forward. That's a forward fast for $4 million. $4 million this year. That is chump change. That's a steal. That's a brilliant move by that general manager. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well, the Russell Wilson part, I'll counter with you this. He had a Hall of Fame career. Unfortunately, he's still playing.
Yeah, HAD.
Yeah. And,
Good point.
I think, I think
first ballot, he ain't going to be, right?
He's not. And Justin
jacket.
Fields, and let's put it this way. Arthur Smith, who's now their offensive coordinator, who I think is a good offensive coordinator, and I think he can work with Justin Fields. And I think with that defense, he's just not going to be put in position that he was for, until late in this season where he had a defense in Chicago that can help protect him a little bit. He'll have that with the Steelers pretty much week in, week out. But let's put it this way. Arthur Smith.
Offensive line.
Hold on.
Right.
Hold on.
Hold on now.
Hold on.
Look, the Steelers' offensive line isn't that great. You're going back to what the Steelers used to be, and see, this is the problem with.
Well, I'm just saying it's an upgrade. I don't think it's great. I think it's just an upgrade.
I honestly don't think it's an upgrade over what Chicago is probably.
All right, line them up.
Well, no, I'm not saying the Bears are great, but my favorite is like these Steelers fans thinking that the Steelers are that much better. Let's just put it this way: if we're really going to go down this flaming road, like Steelers haven't been a true contender since like 2017. They've been above 500. But look, they were never going to win the title since 2017 and beyond. That was like almost Roethlisberger's last great year. They've had some solid years where he was running on fumes. And then after that, they completely butchered the quarterback spot. They stuck with Matt Canada, even though he was atrocious 2 years ago, and they ran him back last year. So that people are thinking they know how to evaluate offensive talent. And again, going back to what I was going to say about Arthur Smith had the opportunity to draft Justin Fields when he took the Falcons job, and they decided to not draft him. So I'm not going to say he doesn't like him, but obviously he didn't value him on that high of a level. So this was more the front office's making this move. And regardless, congratulations. If they want to take him, they're gonna have to take his fifth-year option and pay him.
That's true.
Probably. So, like, that's another reason why, to be fair to at least the Bears, why they didn't get more for him.
True.
It's because, and some people like, oh, Kenny Pickett got more trade value because Kenny Pickett's on the cheap for another 2 years, where Justin Fields is just one.
That's correct. You're right about that. You're absolutely right. Somebody's got to pay somebody. Right.
So, again, I just want to say, and I'll just try to wrap up on this. I want Justin Fields to succeed, but I just want to hear about some of these Steelers honkers saying, like, how they got it over on the Bears. Because guess what? Your team has been 500 and a little above that. But guess what? You're in the rearview mirror now, consistently now, with the Ravens, with Lamar taking off, with Joe Burrow and the Bengals taking off.
One of the toughest divisions in the league, no question.
And if Deshaun Watson can turn it around, which I don't think he will, but like if he could turn it around, like the Browns have more than enough, like turned it around. Guess what? You're at the bottom looking up, not the other way around. So that's all I'll say on that.
But I think just to sum this up, the Steelers-Bears things, first of all, don't forget that the Steelers got Terry Bradshaw. The Bears could have had him. That's 1972. Okay, enough about that. But change of scenery for both Russell and Justin Fields. I think it's good. Sometimes that's all a guy need. New home, new place. Let them go. Good luck to both of them. Okay, Lugs. Kirk Cousins. Like it, don't like it. Atlanta Falcons.
You know what? I think that's a good deal. I mean, he's got a really fine running back. They've got a couple of receivers. They need to get themselves a decent a number one receiver. They've got a couple of number twos, I would say, or a 2 and a 3. So I think that's a good deal for him. I've never really been a fan, but I will give him this. He is consistent. He is the adult in the room. So I think it's a good deal for both of them to kind of get them out of the doldrums that they've been in. So,
but T-Dog, he's 35, and he's just coming off, we hope, a successful Achilles injury.
I mean, look, their offensive coordinator. He's a new offensive coordinator. So again, like you're taking a risk where if you would have gone back with the Vikings, you have Kevin O'Connell, who I think is one of the best young coaches in the league. So it's definitely some trepidation. Now, to be fair to Kirk Cousins and his family, look, regardless of how we feel about Kirk Cousins, I know we all have different opinions on him. The one thing he's definitely won on is he's cashed out.
Money.
Every time he get money, he cashed out. But I still think it can work. I think it's a good move definitely for Atlanta. I don't know if it was the best move for Kirk Cousins, but because they have some really good talent, young talent around him. Like they've made some signings, Darnell Mooney, and they got Rondell Moore, local kid who unfortunately hasn't lived up to his billing, but has the talent to be a very high level player. They have Drake London, they have Kyle Pitts, they have Bijan Robinson in the backfield. Yep. They have an offensive line that underperformed last year, but the 2 years prior has been like probably the focal point and strength of the team. So no, I think it was a good move. And also you look at that division.
Yep.
I mean,
I was going to say, yeah.
What do you need? 9 wins? That'll win you, won't it?
That's what Tampa won it with last year. So I feel bad for Bryce Young. I think Carolina has made some moves to get better in certain areas, but you just look at some of the moves the teams around them. They're still the fourth place team, I think, just looking at their overall roster construction. And again, I know I've been harsh on Bryce Young before this. I don't think it's really his fault. Like, it's just a roster that's not as strong as the other three teams, and they took their head coach, who I'm not going to say isn't going to be a wonderkind like Sean McVay, but you're taking a guy who was only an offense coordinator for 1 year and did a great job with Tampa. Don't get me wrong, in Canales, but you're then giving this guy this head coaching job at a very young age. History would usually say, if you're just playing the odds, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, it comes down to players, and they just don't have them yet.
All right, Lugs.
On that offensive line, I mean, Bryce Young, we all think is sort of slightly built for the NFL.
Average.
And he doesn't need to be running for his life every play, and that's what was happening.
And they made a great trade for Deontay Johnson. I just want to give some, like, not like completely poo-pooing them. Like they traded away for Deontay Johnson, who he's had some drop problems in these last 2 years, but I still think is a very talented receiver who's still relatively young, who can get open in his route running. So it'll hopefully make Bryce's job easier. The one thing I will kill them on is to give away a young pass rusher for a 2 and a 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't know how you give away a foundational piece. I mean, that's why teams should be lining up trying to get Derek Brown, their defensive tackle. I mean, what you have to give away like a third and like a future 4th round pick to get Derek Brown? I don't know.
All right, let me throw up another big name that went up. Saquon Barkley to the Eagles. Does that make them like they're the team?
Oh, I don't know. I think those last few games pointed out just some serious issues with those guys. I mean, they've got talent, but it certainly didn't show, especially in the last 3 games of the regular season. I think he'll help. I mean, he's 6 or 7 years in, so he's past the real meat of his career as a running back.
Some old legs on there is what you're saying.
Well, I mean, he's been injured. Serious injuries, and good for him. And the people in New York, they shouldn't be beating up on him for going to the Eagles. I mean, a man only has a certain amount of time in that business, and you got to make your cash.
There's blood in the water there, though. Blood in the water. Yeah. What do you think, T-Dog? You like it?
Yeah, I mean, I know advanced analytics are not agreeing with like paying a running back, but I think when you're still in the window of being probably a true contender, I think you maximize. I like it mainly for this reason, and I'll get to it last. But like, you look at how loaded they are. Like we always talk about the 49ers, how great they are at skill position. You'll have AJ Brown, you'll have Devontae Smith, you'll have Dalton or their tight end. God,
Oh yeah.
And then they have Jalen Hurts, who is a dynamic quarterback. But then you have Saquon, and particularly again going back to the strength of their team, it's their offensive line, and their offensive line, just can open holes. And think about this: Saquon was having some special moments early on in his career with the Giants, and Giants' offensive line for his whole career has been, for the most part, atrocious. So it's a huge upgrade for him. Look, they clearly made this move. They didn't have to trade like this team. Clearly, they're emulating the 49ers when they traded for McCaffrey. That's what they're hoping for, is getting, one of the truly two legitimate game-changing running backs that exist.
A resurgence.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So and I think, again, yeah, he's had some injury problems, but because of that, he doesn't have as many reps or snaps or touches as some other guys maybe his age. So he's actually bizarrely, I think, kind of got more tread on the tire, so to speak. So I think it can work out, and I will agree with Lugs on this. Any Giants fan that's mad at him for signing, look, he wanted, from everything we've read or heard, he wanted to stay a Giants guy. He wanted to, and they just weren't willing to pay, which again I understand. And look, they made the trade with Carolina to get the young defensive end. So they got something of more value, and congrats to the Giants on that. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. Sometimes you have to, they made the decision to let Barkley go, so they can't get mad when Barkley takes money to go to a team that's willing to pay him, regardless if it was an old rival or not.
And they've got to replace the best center that's ever been in the league, I think.
Kelsey.
Yeah. And they've got to do that. So that's the only downside I see for them at this point.
Well, luckily they drafted 2 years ago Cam Jurgens, so that's why they drafted Cam Jurgens, is to replace Kelsey. So
yeah, but he ain't Kelsey right now.
To be fair to your point, I don't know if anyone will be Kelsey. He's a fairly unique athlete. And
he wears a good skinless shirt kind of a look. So
yeah, he looks good drinking beer.
The only other major move that I really liked was Hollywood Brown to the Chiefs. I think that's a good move, and they got him at a reasonable rate. So that should help them out. Not that they need any help. Think about it. We kept saying they don't have receivers and all of this other stuff, and they still win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So
the Patrick.
That was my other major. And they did tag cornerback L'Jarius Sneed. So,
T-Dog, what's your other faves? Any other favorites?
Go ahead, man.
You go, Lugs. Yeah.
Well, I do like the Derrick Henry move to the Ravens, of course. I said that before. I think that gives Lamar some just breathing room. And I also like the fact that since Chase Young opted out for the 49ers, or they didn't re-sign him, they did get Leonard Floyd. And Leonard Floyd, I think, is very quietly one of the really good pass rushers. So they even though Chase Young didn't do it great in San Fran, but Leonard Floyd will more than fill that spot. Ever how they want to move the defensive line around. So those are my couple. What do you think, Dog?
Again, I've been brain farting on his name like the first 20 minutes. Brian Burns, the trade the Giants made for Brian Burns from Carolina Panthers. I just think you know, and I know they signed him to a large money sum, but again, a top tier pass rusher, you know, who's, you know, I think he just turned 25. You know, and he was on a team that didn't have that many opportunities to really pass rush. So, you know, someone will look at his numbers being awful last year. That wasn't really his fault. I don't think he forgot how to play. I guess under the radar kind of type signing, I think Bryce Huff, the pass rusher from the Jets that the Eagles signed, I think he can work out, even though some of that is projection. But I think they have been fairly kind of shrewd in which they've gone about it. And they also hired Vic Fangio to be their offensive or defensive coordinator. So I think he'll get the best out of Huff. So I think that's one of my favorite ones to come out. So, and actually one other one that I think is really under the radar. Again, props to the Vikings. I like the Aaron Jones signing. I know he's older, but I think you look at how he ended the season where he had, I think it was like 500 or 600-yard rushing games.
Yeah, running through walls, man.
But here's the big thing is, again, we're talking about weapons and again, they're not going to ask him to run the ball 20 times. They're going to probably give him like maybe 12 carries and maybe like 3 to 4 targets a game. And they still have Ty Chandler to like back him up and spell him. But you look at how great a receiver he is, because remember 2 years ago we all said like Aaron Jones was Aaron Rodgers' best receiver on that team, and he was. He's a great receiver. Look, Madsen had some good moments with the Vikings. He was not a good receiver. Dalvin Cook had a very good career with the Vikings. He was not a receiver. Kevin O'Connell finally has a great receiver coming out of the backfield with Justin Jefferson, with Jordan Addison, with T.J. Hawkinson. They can really spread the field out now and really attack teams from multiple like areas of the field. So I think Aaron Jones was a masterful signing by the Vikings.
But is Sam Darnold the guy to deliver the ball? I guess we'll find out. A rebirth.
All he has to do is just not screw up. I mean, like you just said, dog, he's got weapons. All he has to just stay under control, not do anything stupid with the ball.
Yeah, don't lose the ball.
He'll be fine.
All right.
Under the radar, I know he's not their long term, and I know they're probably drafting a quarterback. I just have a soft spot for Jacoby Brissett going to New England. I think he's
is that the third or fourth time that he's been in New England?
It does. It feels like it's the second time actually. And again, when he got to play last year with the Commanders late in the year when he got to start, he actually played really well, and I just think he is a leader. And, again, maybe he's never going to put up outstanding numbers, but I think he can play within himself. I think, you look at New England, they still have a good defense, and I think he can win them some games. It's going to be hard for him to really contend, get in the playoffs because of some of the weaknesses they have on offense, mainly at skill position. But I think he is going to be able to steer the ship if they need to wait to start, if it's Drake May or it's Jaden Daniels or maybe it's J.J. McCarthy. I don't know who they prefer, but I think he was a great signing.
And now with the draft on its way and Caleb Williams looks like cemented in as number one, and with the Bears, all the pieces are falling into place just the way Roger Goodell wants it.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, they people – we're talking about it. So even in the offseason, the NFL still dominates all the chatter.
It's March, right? Speaking of March, we got about a little over 10 minutes left in this new slimmer, trimmer, svelte version of sports and other stuff. NCAA tournament, the field of 68 is set. Any thoughts, slights, should have gotten in, didn't get in? Who do you like? Lugs.
Well, Michigan State does not deserve to be in there. And that's a Tom Izzo gimme back, for all the years that he's given to basketball. I wanted to see St. John's in there so that we had a shot at Richard Pitino at New Mexico State going against Papa at St. John's and Rick Pitino. But let's be honest. This is UConn's national championship to lose.
Okay.
I've watched them play twice. They got 4 starters for the NBA. I mean, it's an amazing team. So they are professionals right this very minute, and most of them, obviously, in college now are professionals. Let's be honest; they're being paid more bucks than T-Dog makes, and that's some serious cash right there. So, what do you think about it, T-Dog?
You know what? I've had the fortunate or unfortunate because of my work schedule or just me trying to hustle. I guess I haven't really watched any college basketball this year, so I really can't zero in on anything of any specificity.
He's honest about it. He's honest.
Yeah, I haven't. I haven't really got to watch any. I'll watch some of the games because, particularly the opening week, because of hopefully the thrills of Cinderella's. This is the main reason why I don't fill out a bracket, and I'm not gonna try to talk people out of filling out a bracket. I understand people enjoy that. I just think it deters you from rooting on Cinderellas, and that's the most enjoyable thing to watch, is to watch these teams that you never hear of besides this tournament. This is where you hear like a name of a college, you're like, where the hell in the 48 states is this thing? It's like, oh, wait a minute, it's in Alaska. It's like finding that out and like rooting on that team. That's what I want to spend Thursday and Friday doing.
So you want the Longwood Lancers, do you? That's who you want?
I'm rooting for those teams. And again, that's why I don't fill out a bracket, because when you fill out a bracket, you want your bracket to be right. I could care less about my bracket.
Lugs, how are they not in the ACC, man? They're in Farmville, Virginia. The Longwood University Lancers.
Well, and my other favorite is the Oakland team.
Yeah,
and they're from Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
so it was just strange. It's tough to fill out that 68 team, whatever it is, and I give it to those committee members. They're trying to make all of that work, but I still got to go back to that Michigan State. Come on, man.
But regarding Rick Pitino, man, come on. No, I don't want him in that tournament. He's just a belly aching whatever. But my pick is Purdue. Zach Edey, man, the 7'4" wonder. I think Matt Painter gets that monkey, won't get clobbered in the first or second round like he has for many years, seems like. And I think Purdue's got the chutzpah to make it happen.
Now,
just going to throw it out.
I'm going to have to disagree with you, my favorite senator from wherever you're from.
Well, let me say this about that.
Zach Edey is their only flavor. It's like if that's your only spice, you can just get around that. Although he is a monster. Have you seen that guy?
Yeah. But do you remember they lost to, who'd they lose to in the second round or first round? 15 seed last year.
It was they were number 1 seed. They joined Virginia.
Yeah. Well, who'd they lose? Florida Gulf Coast, or who was it?
I don't
Dang it.
remember.
Well, we'll look it up and get our crack team on that.
I will say I kind of root for what J Boys say, just because actually one of the coolest stories to me is 2 years in a row, like kind of continuous tournaments. Virginia being the first number 1 seed to lose to a 16 seed, going back after they got clowned for a whole season and winning the tournament then the very next year. Hopefully maybe something to that effect happens for Purdue, because to me, like I said, from the bookend standpoint, that is a great story right there, from being, essentially the team that gets embarrassed to getting to be top of the podium. That's what you want.
That was our crack team just got back to me. Farley Dickinson. That's not a law firm. That's a school, and they were 16 that beat the one Purdue Boilermakers last year. You were right, Lugs. Good call. It's just good stuff.
Yeah, it's always fun, and it's a reason to play hooky from whatever you're supposed to be doing, to watch some games. Hide out and get that screensaver that'll pop up automatically if somebody comes wandering by, if you're watching it on
that spreadsheet.
but also, bizarrely
that spreadsheet. I love that. Yeah.
Also, bizarrely enough, became like a cottage industry for doctors that give vasectomies. It really was. It's very bizarre. Like they're like, hey, this is how we could, promote, our services. Like, hey, yeah, we can give you a vasectomy, and then you have to be out.
And surprisingly, Kroger sells out of frozen peas, at the same time, if you catch my drift. All right, we got a few minutes left. Lugs, baseball season kicking in pretty soon. Locally here, March 29th, our Louisville Bats AAA team kicks off. All right, what's your favorite baseball movie of all time? Lugs, to you.
Well, I've got to go in the Wayback Machine. As a kid, I remember seeing it in the afternoon on one of the shows. They played Angels in the Outfield with Paul Douglas. It was just one of those things that I remember. I'd probably see it now, wouldn't think as highly of it, but that's right now at the top of my list. There are others, but what do you think, Dog?
Oh, it's Walter Matthau's Bad News Bears. That's easily my favorite. I don't know what it is about sport movies where like the main guy is like either a con artist or a curmudgeon. Because my favorite sports movie of all time is Slapshots. I just love a great actor who's playing like kind of a sourpuss, like trying to like teach a lot of kids the value of baseball.
I'm going to go with The Natural, Robert Redford, with that carved bat, Wonder Boy, and the lightning strikes and the music and the soundtrack, and it's got a great surrounding cast, Wilford Brimley and some others. I think
Darren McGavin, man.
Darren McGavin?
Darren McGavin,
Yep.
The old Night Stalker.
Yep. Tell me, did you ever play the game? Right, that whole line. And Max Mercy is who he plays. But I like that a lot. That's one of my faves. I crack that out once in a while. Good feel-good story about a guy. The Whammer, remember?
Oh, yeah.
It's supposed to be Babe Ruth, but they call him the Whammer, not the Babe. So that's a good one. But, baseball. Baseball.
Yeah, well, and, if you want to get the Bad News Bears, to me, is the kid version of A League of Their Own. With Tom Hanks. There's no crying in baseball, so that sort of thing. But, I think baseball movies, by and large, are the best sport movies. You've got, Bull Durham, A Field of Dreams. I think baseball, for whatever reason, lends itself. And NASCAR is at the bottom of the list. There's never been a really good NASCAR movie made. So, but those are some fine moments of entertainment there. But Dog, Slapshot, the brothers.
Hanson brothers.
Yeah.
Hanson brother. Paul Newman.
Paul Newman was great in that.
Yeah.
Reg Fleming.
So,
Reg
those
something.
are good ones.
Yeah. No, there's actually. Yeah, would you all agree? Baseball maybe has the most it's probably the most great movies about its sport over any other sport except for boxing. It's very bizarre.
Agreed.
Like those are the two sports.
Well, I think because baseball held the title of America's pastime and was the favorite sport for, more than half a century and is older than the other sports too as an organized professional sport. So I think it's got this kind of romantic legacy that Americans flock to. I don't know, just a thought. Plus the Yankees, teams like that.
No, that's fair. I was going to ask you, though, like how many great football movies? There's not that many.
Everybody goes to Brian's song about Brian Piccolo and Gale Sayers.
I think my favorite is North Dallas 40.
I agree with Lugs. That's my favorite.
And any movie, that lets Mac Davis use his twang. And I think Nick Nolte, I think that's his moment, really.
Yeah. All right, we've got about 3 minutes left. I think, too, remember the Titans, but most football movies are high school or college-based, it seems, or about an individual.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually they're inspirational. So, yes, it's Rudy,
right.
Who, again, don't let Joe Montana talk to you about Rudy because he'll just shoot it down. He's like, he'll be like, it's all horse poop, essentially, for the most part. He'll laugh it off. It's like, all right, I didn't need you to tell me. And then basketball. Basketball doesn't have that many. which is again very bizarre. It's been a fairly popular sport.
Yeah.
But like outside of Hoosiers and I mean, look, Blue Chips has some moments, but I wouldn't say Blue Chips is a great movie.
The George Mikan story, did I miss that one?
Is there a George Mikan story?
We got to wrap this up.
Okay, sorry.
Lugs, we didn't get to sports of yesteryear, and we didn't get to that true TV schedule, which we all have to just delve into in the next 10 days or 2 weeks. But this has been Sports and Other Stuff, brought to you in part by Farrell Mobile Homes. Cross that money-saving bridge for big savings. And there's a guy we know, he's working there tonight. His name is
Fish. This week, our man in the know had his favorite libation shaken, not stirred, in honor of Sean Connery's first day of shooting on the classic James Bond thriller Goldfinger. To commemorate that moment in celluloid history, Fish is hosting a Sean Connery filmathon. Come on down this Saturday, 1 p.m. Have yourself a taste of drink. Enjoy 3 of Connery's films. Admission is $20 and includes showings of Goldfinger, of course, along with The Man Who Would Be King and the bizarre sci-fi adventure Zardoz. So come on down.
Thanks for listening to Sports and Other Stuff. We'll see you again next week. So long, everybody.